Part 28. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 272. Chapter 272, Why Are You Here? Under the urging of her grandma, Mei Shui had the meal ready at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No, the old lady planned to go downstairs as soon as she finished her meal. Fortunately, Mei Shui was quick-sighted and caught the person. How is that possible? Our family has already finished dinner. She was very active in watching movies. That's because our family ate early, and others haven't gotten off work yet. Mei Shui had a headache. Such a grandma is so lively. He Jiao Jiao on the opposite side also heard the sound and walked out of the house with a spatula. Third grandma, you are too positive it's only after 4 o'clock and you're waiting, so you're not afraid of being bored, he Jiao Jiao said with a smile on her face. Go and cook your meal, it's so late and you haven't cooked yet, so Xiao Kai should teach you a lesson. Grandma, he knew she was in a hurry when Mei Shui pulled her. But when Jiao Jiao said this, didn't she lose face? I'm going downstairs to eat. After saying that, she ran downstairs. Mei Shui Fang. He Jiao Jiao died. Sister-in-law, why don't you go too? He Jiao Jiao asked awkwardly. Why are you going? If you don't go, the dishes at home haven't been washed yet. There are still 2 boys who haven't been fed. How can she go? She found that grandma disliked Xiaopeng and the others less and less now, and felt that they had restricted her hands and feet. Every day I think about going out to accompany those old men and women. Why didn't you find that grandma likes to play with others so much in the village before? He Jiao Jiao died again. He turned around and went home and entered the kitchen. Mei Shui quickly fed the child because she was about to pick up Xiao. That's right, Xiao hasn't even gone home yet. The old lady is really anxious. The life in the county town is getting more exciting day by day, but in Hejia village, because Mei Shui and her family are not at home, the village feels like it is not as lively as before. What should I do, old man Zhao? In the back mountain courtyard, several old men lived like a year. Don't ask me, you said that at that time. Mr. Zhao glared at old man Shi with disgust on his face. At this time, the old men began to shirk their responsibilities. Shi Weikan had a headache watching them fight more and more fiercely day by day. But there was nothing he could do, but his father was also very anxious. Every day he watched the brothers who had followed him through life and death one by one leaving the home they thought they would stay in for a lifetime. You can just talk about this at this time. Mr. Shi is not someone to be trifled with. Okay, stop arguing. The most important thing now is to invite people back, and don't worry about what they think of us. Don't even run away from home. Think of them as ferocious beasts. Old man's son, what should we do now? Mr. Hua didn't have so many twists and turns in his mind. Mr. Sun rolled his eyes at him and said, what else can we do? Go and ask for help. We sincerely ask for forgiveness. What can he do? If he takes action, who among these old guys will agree? Yes, it's time to show our magnanimity. Mr. Shi suddenly felt uncomfortable all over his body. Looking at his grandson drinking tea at the side, Mr. Shi's mind changed and he immediately came up with an idea. Xiao Chen, you have to go and run for this matter. You see, we are quite old and can't walk. He was ranked first after a miserable performance. If you have a car, I can go find Uncle Jinnan. He has a carriage, which is perfect for you guys. Shi Weikan was speechless. Is this his grandfather? This carriage is so bumpy. Don't let our bones be shaken before we leave the village. Everyone was a man, and when they heard what old man Shi said, they all turned their eyes to Shi Weikan. Mr. Wu was even more shameless and started talking about teaching directly, such as respecting the elders and cherishing the young, respecting teachers, etc. Anyway, Shi Weikan didn't agree and he had no intention of stopping. Leave it alone. Being surrounded by several people in the center put him under a lot of pressure. Okay, stop talking, I'll go, it's better than here. So, on the eve of the Dragon Boat Festival, Shi Weiken left Hejiakan with the expectations of the old men. This year it was rare for his wife, grandma, and others to come to the county town. As soon as Hians came back, he refused to go to work and stayed at home with his wife and children. Coupled with the upcoming festival, he took Mei Shui and went shopping on the street. Xiaoxiu, do you want to buy more rice dumplings? I need to give gifts to Uncle Zhao and the others. I have never mentioned it before, but this year, I have to give gifts to others. Okay, buy some with nicer packaging. She didn't like eating glutinous rice very much, but she could still eat a few rice dumplings. It doesn't cost much anyway. Soon Hian squeezed in with Mei Shui, this, and this, give me 3 of them. Why did he buy so much? He had to give it to Xiang Yang Fang Kai and the others. If there is too much, just leave it at home and eat it yourself. The rice dumplings at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative are all tied with palm leaves, so they are sold in handfuls. There are at least 20 in a handful, and they are not big. Okay, the ticket is open. Go and pay. I'll come over and pick up the ticket later. Business was very good today, and everyone moved very quickly. Mei Shui looked around and found that there were a lot of wines for sale here. She planned to buy some and give them away. Of course, she also knows that her own wine is better than these, but it's not the time yet. It's only been a little over 3 months. There's still a wait, it won't be opened until at least August. The 2 of them bought a lot in large and small bags. What should I do? Their hands were full. What else can we do? Let's send it back first. Mei Shui was speechless. So the 2 of them carried their things and hurried home. Unexpectedly, the people in the county were very active. One was more aggressive than the other. There were still several days before the Dragon Boat Festival, so everyone came out to buy. When the 2 returned home carrying their things, they saw an unexpected person. Mei Shui's eyes sank. She didn't expect that their home would be found like this. It was not Shi Weiken's fault at that time. As soon as Mei Shui and Grandma He arrived at the county town with their children, they were discovered by the old men. They are also paying attention to what happens next. Today, Shi Weiken went to the small courtyard as soon as he arrived, but unfortunately he didn't see anyone. After arriving at his grandfather's courtyard, he learned from these people that they had moved. Shi Weiken felt that the old man and the others had frightened this family so much that they no longer even dared to live in the house here. How did you find this place? Mei Shui asked deeply. The tone of her voice was filled with a murderous aura that was unique to her. Shi Weiken was stunned. Okay, he was startled. The aura was very similar to his grandpa's, but in a blink of an eye, he felt that he had thought too much. Maybe he is not happy to see himself. Sister-in-law, don't be angry, I came from. Shi Weiken did not hide anything and directly told what he knew. Don't mention it. He became more and more comfortable betraying Grandpa and the others. Leave a message and vote. Grateful. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 273. Chapter 273, Going Home. So, are we really thinking too much? Grandma He was on guard. Really, Grandma, I swear, if I tell a lie, I will die badly. Shi Weiken has been trying to persuade Grandma He for an unknown amount of time, but she just doesn't believe it. He also refused to talk to himself and even sent his child next door. Is he that scary? Hearing his oath, Grandma He breathed a sigh of relief, but Mei Shui and Hians didn't say much. Anyway, they planned to return to the village, but they just waited until the end of the month. Heh, I didn't expect a few old immortals to actually pull you out to block the arrows. They are a bunch of shameless people. Possibly because she was afraid of being distracted by that oath, Grandma He's mouth started to turn venomous. I can't help it, I'm a junior. He's also feeling aggrieved. Okay. When someone came, they would definitely not be able to go out, so they had to keep someone down for lunch. Mei Shui didn't know him very well, so she went directly to pick up the children next door. Hians had a good chat with Shi Weiken. Grandma he went to cook. After dinner, Shi Weiken learned that they did not plan to go back now and would have to wait until he Rong got married before returning to the village. He didn't want to go back so soon. Grandma let me go back with you. I will live in my grandfather's old yard when leaving, Shi Weiken said what was in his heart. Whatever. Grandma he responded angrily. Of course, she agreed to him. After Mei Shui and Hians gave gifts to their friends and elders, he stayed at home with his wife and children. It was a sour time in my childhood, but it's a pity that some people can't stand it. No, at Xianjiang's house, Xiangyang has been busy with the motorcade. Except for coming back at night to take a nap, he basically leaves home early. When he came back, his wife was asleep, and he also wanted to spend more time with his wife, Bao Fang, at home. No, as soon as the festival was over, he immediately pulled Hians out and asked him to take over the job. There hasn't been much driving out of town recently. Not only him, but Xiaolai has also left all the team affairs to Hians, and he just needs to take 2 days off. Angry Hians lost his temper at home, and then went to work in the team. As the convoy became busier and busier, Hians thought of hiring someone, but it was difficult to hire someone. First, he had to be trustworthy, and second, he had to have a certain ability to protect himself. Hunting for a long distance is not just a matter of words and movement of the car. You will encounter many problems on the road. The biggest problem is people snatching goods. Not to mention how safe it is now, but there will be some desperate people, and these have to be guarded against. Even with Guji's help, there are still some places that he can't reach. Hians complained to Mei Shui about this matter after he returned home from the motorcade. Mei Shui did have some ideas, but she was more worried that her grandma would not accept it. What do you think we invite some retired people? Mei Shui mentioned this to Hians after returning to the house. I didn't say anything in the living room before because I was afraid that grandma wouldn't agree. Hians' eyes lit up when he heard this. I also have this idea, but we don't have many invited now. He had also thought about it, but he knew better that the old men wanted more and long term. What if he is forced to accept them all? He is not yet strong enough to eat it. Of course, he believes that the country will also take action. Recently, economic reforms have become more and more popular. It is expected that people with bright minds will also take action. How many people are invited? Please count. We are not some rich people who want to harm the family. We can arrange a few for their sake, Mei Shui said with a proud look on her face. Are you sure you're not attracted to her talent? Hians discovered for the first time that his wife and grandma were more and more similar in shamelessness. Heh, man. After calling him, Mei Shui fell asleep peacefully. After having the idea, Hians started taking action the next day. Because he was getting closer and closer to returning to the village, he had to come up with a way. You can't let those old men get too embarrassed. After having a plan, Hians discussed the matter with his 2 partners. No, they were called back after just 1 day off. The 2 of them were in a very bad mood. We are on vacation. As soon as he entered the door and saw Hians drinking tea, Xiaolai was the first to be reluctant. Xiangyang was the same. He stepped forward and snatched Hians' teacup away. That's right, can't you just be more modest? The 2 of them will not feel that there is any big business waiting for them. Can't you just be calmer? Hians was speechless. Of course I called you here because I had something to do. If nothing happened, would I dare to call you? He was also a little scared. Then tell me if you have any big problem with us. Xiaolai still didn't believe it. That's right, if you don't say 1, 2, or 3 today, I will fight you tooth and nail, Xiangyang said angrily. Looking at them like this, Hians didn't dare to show off anymore. I've thought of a way to relieve your pressure. From then on, everyone was under great pressure. Even he himself is spinning, he can't do it without spinning. Tell me about it. Xiao Lai half believed it. Why did he say half of it? It was because he hadn't had a good rest at home for a long time. Recently, I heard that the battle on the front line is over and many capable people have to retire. What do you think? We can recruit some of these capable people. He couldn't say anything more. Men, when they heard what happened on the front line, they all became nervous. It was Xiang Yang who was the one who retreated there. Of course it would be great if there are candidates, but do we have anyone here? It's not that Xiang Yang hasn't looked for his former comrades, but they all have their own lives and hometowns. Who is willing to leave? Besides, he was not that capable of helping his comrades at the beginning. Don't worry about this, just say whether you agree or disagree, Hian said seriously. If there is someone, of course I agree. It is more reliable to use someone than to use a certain person on this point. Xiangyang station veteran Xiao Lai also nodded. I agree. Well, it's settled. I'll go find someone to ask for someone. After receiving the answers from the two of them, Hians was filled with joy and gave his wife the confidence to return to the village. Hey, I didn't expect you to have such ability. The two of them also started talking to Hians. I have many abilities, but just to prevent you from feeling inferior, I have been hiding them. What is shameless? This is it. TCH. The two of them got up and left the small room of the convoy. There were 2 days before Li Fei's wedding. After Hian's and Xiangyang's handover were completed, he took his grandma and the others back to the village. Their return made the old men very excited. Finally they are back. Each one of them has become a watchman's stone here. This is my home, can't I come back, Grandma? He was comforted, and she finally had a good look on her face when facing these people. Please recommend votes, monthly votes, leave messages, and subscribe. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 274. Chapter 274, Recruiting. Of course we can come back. We can all refuse to come back, but sister, you have to come back. It's really hard to live without you. The old men all gathered around to express their condolences. Meixu was speechless, but she had better pack up the things she brought back. When they saw them coming back, Aunt Mei Lian and the others also came over, intending to help clean up the house together. Mei Shui still cares about her home very much. She locked the house long ago when she left, so that not even Grandmom you can enter. The house really needs to be tidied up. The old men gathered around Grandma He and apologized, saying they were wrong and asking her to forgive them. Grandma He took Xiao for a while and then forgave them. If you do this again in the future, then please move out of my house. You still have to say tough words. Sure, I agree. Old man Shi, who was afraid of running out of wine, was the first to agree. That's right, we will never do it again. Xiaoxiu is still young, how can she have such ability? Yes, Xiaoxiu is good at farming. Look at how delicious the vegetables and rice she grow are. Everyone began to express their loyalty. Looking at a group of old men making promises, Grandma He smiled and said, okay, it's over. Today is a happy day. Let's have a big dinner tonight. It's also time to express her generosity. What a feast, this is good, this is good. Do you have any wine? Mr. Shi asked cautiously. Everyone seemed to have pressed the pause button, and they all looked at Mr. Shi and Grandma He. Grandma He rolled her eyes and said, enough wine. She was happy, just as they wished. It's just a pity that she hid the jar of wine, but it's okay, it won't be long before the grapes are ripe, and she will just let Xiaoxiu brew some for her. Ouch, great, great. The old men all jumped up happily. Mei Shui heard their cheers from inside the house and walked out to take a look. Hian stood next to Xiaoxiu. Grandma promised to give them wine, he explained softly. Grandma, You still have wine? Mei Shui was surprised. Isn't there no wine at home? She remembered that after the wine was finished, she never drank again. I don't know, that's what Grandma said anyway. Hians shook his head. It seems that Grandma has hidden some private wine, Mei Shui said seriously. Seeing Xiaoxiu's look, Hians also smiled. It seems that you have made wine for Grandma a lot before. That's right, as long as Grandma wants, I can satisfy her. Speaking of this, Mei Shui glanced at Hians. If it weren't for Grandma, I wouldn't have even planned to marry you, let alone Xiao Peng and Xiao Chan, Mei Shui said with an arrogant look. Hians died. However, he felt warm in his heart. He knew that he relied on his grandma to survive now. Without his grandma, he would not even have a wife, and he would not even know when the child would be gone. Thanks to his grandma for allowing him to meet Xiaoxiu and thanking her for choosing him. Xiaoxiu, thank you. He had wanted to say this to her for a long time. Of course, the more important thing was, I love you. Mei Shui smiled and said, you know what's going on. After saying that, Mei Shui went back into the house to do some work. Looking at Xiaoxiu's satisfied look, Hians also laughed. With the help of several people, we finally got everything back, because Grandma he said there was going to be a big dinner at home, so Aunt Milian and Aunt Zillian were left behind. Just let them help cook a meal together. The old men spent the afternoon in excitement. Shi Weiken was pulled aside by Hians and talked to him about veterans. Brother He, do you really want to accept it? Even one is fine. Because of this matter, the old men once thought that there was nothing they could do here. Unexpectedly, Brother He actually said that he wanted to recruit people. This news made him very excited. Brother He, don't worry, I will definitely find the most capable person for you, Shi Weiken promised. That's fine, but let's forget about the most capable ones. People are so capable, so they will definitely look down on me. I need to drive here, so you can make arrangements. As you see, Hians didn't have such big requirements. As Xiang Yang said, he has confidence in the people in the army, and anyone he pulls out is good. Sure, how much do you want? I'll call someone for you. Shi Weiken was very excited. Let's find 6 first. His fleet couldn't afford any more. Okay, I will definitely have them all in place in half a month, Shi Weiken promised again. After a day of repairs in the village, it was He Rongrong's wedding reception the next day. Grandma He was invited by He Zhengsong early. Meixiu didn't want to join in the fun. She knew she would be very busy today, so she took care of the children at home and took a look at how the furniture was being treated. The carpentry was being watched by Hung Mei's man. She was not too relieved, but An Wen had promised her that his sister and brother-in-law had changed. So she was willing to believe it once. Even if it's for An Wen. Mei Shui came over with her 2 children in the back mountain courtyard, and Hians went to He Jinsong's house to help. He was a relative, so he had to go by himself without calling. Xiaoxiu is here. Ma Liming, who was polishing in the middle courtyard, saw the person coming in at a glance. Brother-in-law Mei Shui called out politely, not forgetting to ask the child to call someone. Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng, call me uncle. Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng walked on their own after arriving at the other courtyard. When they heard their mother's words, they all raised their heads and looked at the person in front of them and called out, Uncle. Hey, Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng are good. Ma Liming was a little embarrassed because he didn't have any candies for the 2 children. Seeing him like this, Mei Shui immediately understood. Okay, you go and play with Xiaobai. Xiaobai and Xiaohong have been living in another courtyard. Xiaobai jumped out of nowhere and ran around the 2 children. Little Bai knew his master was back, but the master said he was busy at home and couldn't come. He happened to be in the mountains with Xiaohong, so he didn't go home. Brother-in-law, has the furniture been packed? It's been so long, it should be fine, right? Ma Liming looked at the furniture placed in the yard and felt a little embarrassed on his face. Some of them are ready, but some of them are not yet. No one has seen them before, so I'm a little slow with the pictures. Mei Shui understood, it's okay, just hurry up. The house outside has also been repaired, and we're just waiting for the furniture to go in. Mei Shui looked around and was very satisfied with these things. At least it was what she wanted, just more original. Do these need to be filled with oil? Ma Liming nodded and asked. Oil. Mei Shui knew that a barrel of oil was a good thing, as it could make the furniture at home clearer. It's not that there's no paint. It's expensive and smells very bad. I won't be able to use it for a few years. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 275. Chapter 275, Wedding Wine. That's it, these are almost polished and we'll start applying oil tomorrow, Ma Ming said immediately. Okay, just do whatever you want. Ma Xiu not only looked at the furniture, but also went to the hot spring for a walk, but it was so hot. Also, it's May, so it's strange that it's not hot. Xiaobai, you can't live here in the summer. Only now did she realize that these houses were affected by the temperature. Master, you can stay here in the summer, it's just a little hotter. Xiaobai was playing with his two children. The two little guys are also very familiar with Xiaobai. Can the old man and the others tolerate it? Even though she had thoughts about them, in general, everyone got along pretty well. Isn't the building in front repaired? It would be better if we let them move to the village. Xiaobai struggled in Xiaopeng's arms. Heh, I'm afraid Grandma will be the first to disagree. Mei Shui curled her lips. It's not like you don't know Grandma's temperament. The reason why they can live here is because they can buy pills. It took so much money to prevent Grandma from confronting them. Now that the family is not short of money, and what happened last time, it's no wonder that Grandma would be happy. Of course, as for the building, it is the only one in the village. Grandma will not let anyone else live in it. At least the grandma that Mei Shui knew would think so. No, Grandma promised the old men yesterday that she would let them move outside, Xiaobai said with a speechless expression. What? Mei Shui was shocked. How is this possible? Why didn't she hear this? To be honest, it seems that the old men said to pay the rent. Anyway, Grandma was happy. Not only that, but she also said that all the furniture and everything belonged to them. Xiaobai relayed what he heard to the owner. Mei Shui was speechless. Grandma was still the same grandma, the same recipe, the same taste. She thought that Grandma would not care about money anymore. So master, the old men have been thinking about the furniture in the yard recently. Xiaobai spoke again. Mei Shui Fang, they are really calculating. Forget it, as long as they are willing to pay. It has been a long time since I took a hot spring bath, and Mei Shui became interested. Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng, do you want to take a bath with your mother? Mei Shui led the children to the last yard. This is where the main family really lives. There are a total of 10 rooms in the back. This set of courtyards is U-shaped, and the last one is the largest courtyard. There is also Mei Shui's favorite pool here. But there are no fish here, and they are usually used for bathing at home. Okay, Mom, we wanted. Both children were very excited. Xiaobai was speechless. Master, what time is it? Are you going to take a bath? Did he tease you again yesterday? Xiaobai's tone was full of disgust. Mei Shui went crazy. I want you to take care of it. In the past, she might not have cared about it, just as if she had completed the task and gave birth to a great-grandson for her grandma, but now she clearly felt that she was immersed in it and began to learn to enjoy it, not to mention having a certain style. Of course, a man's body would be perfect if it didn't have to be so good. But considering that he will leave tomorrow, Mei Shui also intends to indulge him, which can be regarded as satisfying herself. What's the point? The relationship between heaven, earth, and human beings is normal. If there were no human relationships, reproduction would have been long gone. How would that world survive? It's normal for you to be new enough not to think it's a big deal. Master, do you want to have another girl? Xiaobai looked forward to her mother very much. No, Mei Shui didn't have this idea. Xiaopeng and Xiaocheng were enough. While chatting with Xiaobai, Mei Shui also carried the two children into the water. Are you comfortable? The water here is not very deep, and two people can stand up to their chests without fear of drowning. It's comfortable, Mom is comfortable. The two little guys obviously liked it very much. No one usually comes here. Besides, Xiao Hong is at the door, so I'm not afraid of anyone breaking in. As long as you feel comfortable, you can play by yourselves. Mei Shui let go of Er's hand. It's impossible to have another baby after giving birth, but I found that his internal strength seems to be progressing slower and slower recently, Mei Shui said, a little puzzled. You must know that the pills Hians takes are made from medicinal materials in her space, and the potency of the medicine is not comparable to those outside. Xiaobai frowned and said, it's impossible. It was a little confused at the time. It stands to reason that Hian's internal strength should have entered the next level by now. You can listen to the master, I'm afraid you will get stuck. I can't lie to you. There is always one step away from perfection, and he himself doesn't know how to go on. Mei Shui heard Hian's complain about this. She didn't ask him much, but she kept it in mind. Master, what state have you reached now? Xiaobai had an idea. Me? I specialize in internal strength. According to the book, it should be at the earth level. There are only 3 levels written in the book: heaven, earth, and human. The one at the bottom is the person, but now she has started to practice acupuncture, and she is very good at it. After becoming proficient in needlework, she tried sewing clothes, but unfortunately, she still failed. You can cross it, why can't Hians? Xiaobai also has some skills. I don't know, but now his ability is enough to protect himself, and there is no need to break through. Mei Shui thinks so. No matter how deep your inner strength is, you will still be afraid of Mukang. She has already proven that this is not true. That's true, but you can increase your lifespan when you reach the earth level. You'd better go to Hians and practice more. Xiaobai didn't understand, and it hadn't been practiced before. If you are a cultivator, you can help me. I don't understand this kind of thing. When you reach the heaven level, you will enter the Qi training period. However, you will never be able to reach that level in this life. Well, I'll tell him when the time comes. After saying this, Mei Shui soaked herself in the water. The two children immediately became anxious when they saw their mother was submerged in the water. Mommy, mommy. At noon, Mei Shui took the packed children to He Rongrong's house. When she got here, she saw Li Fei and Fang Kai. Sister-in-law. When the two saw Mei Shui coming, they immediately called out. Well, Fang Kai, is it okay for Jiao Jiao to be alone at home? Xiao is still in the county town, and they have all returned, so Xiao can only be placed at Fang Kai's house. It's okay. We'll go back tonight and come back to pick up the bride tomorrow morning. Fang Kai knew that his sister-in-law was worried about Xiao. That's good, but Xiao is quite sensible and can help Jiao Jiao take care of Xiaoming. Mei Shui smiled. That's right, my brother is awesome, the two little guys said immediately after hearing their mother praising their brother. Yes, your brother is the best. Mei Shui rolled her eyes. At this time Hians also came over. Here, hurry up, get on the table, dinner will be served soon. Hians naturally picked up his two sons. Fang Kai and Li Fei looked at each other, speechless. Remember to vote. Thanks, babies. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 276. Chapter 276, Ma Liming's Thoughts. However, Li Fei is envious in his heart. He will take his wife home tomorrow. Will the child be far away? The wedding banquet is very simple, just invite some relatives and friends of the woman, so there are not too many people. There were about 7 or 8 tables. After eating, everyone started to give dowries. He Jiao Jiao did the same at first. Mei Shui didn't give anything too expensive. Summer was here, so she brought back a red skirt from sister-in-law Luo's shop as a gift. At the beginning, He Jiao Jiao was just a silk scarf. Have another meal in the evening, and the wedding girl has finished drinking. The brothers and sisters will get married tomorrow morning. These have nothing to do with other people. Li Shuang is not in the village now, and Mei Shui is not familiar with the others, so she took the children home directly after dinner. But because I met He and Mei and the eldest grandma when I went there. Mei Shui called out to the grandma and took the child away directly. Grandma looked at Mei Shui's back and sighed, fate, there may be too many meanings in it, and the sigh was a bit long. He and Mei was very jealous, but she didn't dare to open her mouth to say anything. Fortunately, she was getting married soon. That's right, He and Mei finally married herself off, but the conditions in the other party's family were not that good, but they were much better than theirs. He is from another village in Xinchen town, which is a bit far away from here, and he is not from the town, but his father seems to be from a government unit. You can get a job even if you are married, which is better than staying at home. Grandma, go back. He and Mei supported her grandma and walked slowly home. Why did you think my mind was so confused at that time? The eldest lady regretted. He and Mei didn't want to say anything more. She had a certain purpose in making friends with him, but they just didn't take a fancy to her. She felt even more sad when she thought about Aunt Yang's family now. If she could get along with Mei Shui, she would be able to marry someone with better conditions like He Jiao Jiao and He Rong Rong, right? Mei Xiu didn't know they had so many thoughts. She just wanted to go back and take a nap. She was tired from last night. As soon as she got home, she was greeted by a group of old men. The old men were all very grateful when they learned about He An's recruitment from Shi Weikan. Xiaoxiu is back, are you full? Do you want to eat more with us? The peach blossom wine made by your grandpa Mu is very good, drink some. The old man was trying to please him for the first time. Mei Xiu shook her head, no, I'm full. Is she the kind of person who would wrong herself? Of course, the banquet at He Rong Rong's house was quite good. Mom, I want to drink. I want to drink. Mrs. She gave me a drink last time. It was delicious. Xiao Cheng still remembered the taste of the wine. Mei Xiu's eyes widened, when did you drink it? After saying that, she looked at the old men. The Mu family's house is on the right side of the He family's yard. The door opens not to the front, but to the left. The two doors happen to be opposite each other. So as soon as Mei Shui arrived at the door of her house, she was called over by the old man in the yard. Last time we were in the back mountain, my brother was drunk, Xiao Cheng said expectantly. Mei Xiu glared at Mr. Shi fiercely, it's not good for the old man to do this. The children are still young. She really didn't want to scold him if she said too much, for fear of scolding him. Xiaoxiu, listen to me, I didn't give them that wine. He felt aggrieved. Last time we were drinking, Xiao Cheng thought it was water. Grandpa Mu put a little too much sugar in his wine, so he drank a few more sips. He definitely didn't say that Xiao Cheng drank 4 or 5 glasses. Xiao Peng looked at his younger brother with an unhappy face, I'm not drunk, he was just a little dizzy. Seeing the two brothers winking at the old man, Mei Shui wanted to take action. Humph, drink more, it's best to get high. She really felt that she shouldn't have sold medicine to them. Grandma Mu walked out of the kitchen, Xiaoxiu is back, would you like some more? Grandma Mu didn't know what happened last time. Grandma Mu, I'll take the children to take a nap. She didn't want to see this group of people now, for fear of losing control of her temper. Then go ahead and don't talk nonsense with them, they are a bunch of disrespectful people. After getting along for a long time, Grandma Mu no longer had the restraints she had before, and her words became much more sharp like Grandma He's. Well, goodbye Grandma Mu. Migxia planned to go back and clean up these two stinky children, but they actually learned to drink. She had to tell her grandma about this, otherwise what would she do if she harmed the children again in the future? So, an education before nap began. Even in the yard next door, everyone can hear Mei Shui's lecture. The old men all looked guilty. You have to be careful in the future, otherwise we will be the ones who admit the mistake. Mr. Zhao shook his body, he was afraid. That's right, it's all old man Shi's fault. No, if he hadn't seduced the children, how could they come over to drink? Mr. Shi quit. I said it as if you didn't persuade me at the time. I also said that a man should drink a lot of wine and eat a lot of meat. After saying this, he rolled his eyes at them. But it can be seen that he eats much faster and doesn't drink anymore. Mr. Mu ignored them, since he had never done this before. When the old men left, Mr. Mu also asked them to bring some loquat paste that he had boiled. He came here mainly to take care of their bodies. I still remember my responsibilities, after all, I get paid every month. After Mei Shui scolded the two little guys to sleep, she closed her eyes and fell asleep. She was really too tired. All he did at night was physical work, but fortunately he would leave early tomorrow morning. He Rongrong's wedding ceremony came to an end with the departure of He-An's and others. The village returned to its previous life. The old men were very shameless. After coaxing Grandma He, they proposed to move out. But now it's getting hotter and hotter, and it's really hard to live in the house. I didn't agree because of the money, so I had to agree. But I still made a lot of money from the furniture. Just use it to pay wages, buy materials, etc. Brother-in-law, it's faster to make these furniture. You are now proficient at it. It's best to finish the rest in the summer. Mei Shui didn't want to be unable to move into the Huishan villa when the weather gets colder. Okay, Ma Liming promised immediately, I will definitely finish it for you next month. If there weren't too many, these things wouldn't last long. Sure, it's not bad to finish it in July. Mei Shui smiled after hearing this. Now that their family is living in their parents' house, there will be no more work to do after working here for another month. Ma Liming also has his own ideas. Zioxiu, can I make these things and sell them in the town? Ma Liming asked nervously. He had been thinking about this for several days, but he never had the nerve to ask. I can't help myself now just because the work is about to be finished. Don't stop voting. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 277. Chapter 277, I am willing to pamper you. Migxia glanced at him and nodded, okay, it doesn't matter much, so just sell it. Thank you Zioxiu. Ma Liming's eyes turned red. Don't worry, my brother-in-law will not lose you. After selling it, I will give you the money. He never thought of taking it for free. Oh, it's okay. It's okay if I don't give it to you, Mei Shui said nonchalantly. I have to give it. If I don't give it, wouldn't I become a white-eyed wolf? He can't do this now. Grandma He happened to come over and rolled her eyes when she heard Ma Liming's words. Everyone can say nice things. Don't just say it, do it before you say it. Ma Liming blushed after hearing what the third grandma said. He and Hung Mei had a problem in their minds before, but he figured it out after he went back. Third grandma, I'm sorry, it was me and Hung Mei who looked down upon each other before. If he made a mistake, he would admit it and he wouldn't feel ashamed. It's good to know. Third grandma, don't worry, I won't do it again, I swear. Ma Liming raised his hand. If I do anything to harm the third grandma and her family, I will be struck by lightning and die. Ma Liming is also cruel. No need, brother-in-law, go and do your work quickly. It's getting hotter and hotter now. You don't have to work at noon. Just do it in the afternoon. Mei Shui didn't really believe in the thunder and lightning. In the words of a novice, why practice martial arts if you swear it works? The weather is getting hotter and hotter in June, and the vegetables in the ground are growing vigorously under the nourishment of space water. As Hans and his team came to bring vegetables, the vegetables in the fields gradually became less and less. The fruits were all ripe, and Mei Shui once again asked Xiao Yi and the others to pick the fruits and put them in the cellar. The two-story building is now occupied by old men, so of course the matter in the cellar cannot be hidden from them. So Mei Shui asked her grandma to take action and suppress them directly. Good news also came from Lixia. They found a place to build a factory and raised money to buy it. The store in the town was also left to her mother-in-law to look after, and she focused on managing the factory. The wine from Anwen's winery is also fragrant. After opening a letter, the smell of wine spread far and wide. Because it was medicinal wine, it was directly packaged by the old men, but it had to be sent to various places. This is a troublesome matter, but it is not difficult for Anshan and the others. And Liang also faced the biggest test in his life. The college entrance examination is coming as scheduled. Is he nervous? Of course I'm nervous. No, the school has a holiday 2 days before the college entrance examination, so they can go home to relax and wait for the exam the day after tomorrow. Sister-in-law, what do you think I will do if I fail the exam? And Liang asked Mei Shui nervously. Mei Shui glanced at him and said, do you think you can't pass the exam? Mei Shui didn't know how to comfort people. But they also know how important this college entrance examination is to them. If you don't have confidence yourself, it's useless to ask anyone. She won't be able to enlighten her. I have confidence, but what if I pass the exam? He was afraid. Yes, and Liang was afraid at this time. He has always known that his family sent him to school just to make him stand out. Now that his family's conditions are better, studying has become something he can't let go of. He won't let it go. But he was really afraid of the college entrance examination. If you don't pass the exam, you won't pass. Didn't your mother say it? Don't force yourself to do something wrong if you don't want to. Mei Shui knew the conversation between Aunt Mei Lian and An Liang. My mother said this just to relieve me of stress, but deep down she still wanted me to become a college student. He knew this. Mai Xue gave him a look and said, then what are you afraid of? Then go and take the test. If you fail once, you will take the test twice. You are still young, so you are not afraid of failing. She really doesn't know how to comfort people. Of course, if you really fail the exam, I think it would be good to go home and raise pigs, Mei Shui said to him seriously. And Liang was speechless. Now the chickens at home gave him a headache, and he also raised pigs. Forget it, it would be better to go to college. When he returns from his studies, he can open a bigger winery. Think about the scene of raising pigs, and Liang's whole body becomes hairy. I think I am a college student. Sister-in-law, you are right. I am the most promising kid in the village. And Liang stood up and shouted loudly. I never said that, Mei Shui denied it. I think you are the most shameless person in the village. It was obvious that he was talking about his own son, so how could he be talking about him? People are shameless. I don't know if he figured it out. After leaving Mei Shui, he packed his things and returned to school. He refused to let his family give it away, which made Aunt Mei Lian speechless. Xiaoxiu, what's wrong with An Liang? I don't know, maybe I figured it out. She really didn't know. Grandma, he walked out of the house. Maybe she thinks she can do it. This child is quite promising. Looking at the happy look on Third Aunt's face, Aunt Mei Lian swallowed the words in her mouth. Just think about it. Third Aunt Xiaoxiu, I have something to do at home, so I will go back first. Looking at Aunt Mei Lian's back, Mei Shui smiled. Grandma, do you really think An Liang has a future? Why did she think An Liang had a future? Grandma, he glanced at Xiaoxiu and said, oh, he's so promising. Don't look at his moral character. It's strange that he can be successful. He's a coward without courage. It's just the college entrance examination. He's so nervous. After finishing speaking, Grandma he turned around and entered the house. It's still the familiar recipe and the familiar taste. Mei Shui held a moment of silence for An Liang. Of course, An Liang's college entrance examination was a big deal. Even if he said he wouldn't let her go, Aunt Mei Lian was still worried. After leaving the family affairs to He Jiankei, she rushed to town early the next morning. No matter what, you must have a family with you. Meixiu smiled after knowing this, but asked Aunt Meilian to say, as long as he gets admitted to college, I will teach him how to make fish ingredients. This is something An Liang has thought about for a long time. Mei Shui has always remembered it, but she just won't teach it. With Mei Shui's encouragement, Aunt Mei Lian left home early in the morning. The old men moved here, and you can hear their bickering in the morning. Why are you making so much noise? I'll wake up Xiaoxiu later and I won't take care of you now. The children basically sleep downstairs with their grandma. Mei Shui added a small bed in grandma's room, which was just right for the two of them to sleep. They like to sleep downstairs because they can watch more TV at night. Between mother and TV, they chose TV. Meixiu walked downstairs and saw a group of people in Grandma Mu's yard at a glance. Everyone was sitting under the osmanthus tree in the old house. It's so late. Xiaoxiu should have gotten up long ago. You just need to spoil her. Mr. Wu raised his lips, and of course his voice became obviously weaker. Grandma, he quit, I am willing to pamper my grandson-in-law. It's none of your business. I can't even stop you from eating her. I don't know since when, dinner for Mei Shui's family has been handed over to Aunt Yang. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 278. Chapter 278, Drinking Wine. Unless there are guests at home, she and her grandma will cook by themselves. On weekdays, everyone eats in Grandpa Mu's yard. The large courtyards of the three houses are all connected, of course, if the courtyard gates are not separated. Even if they are separated, the three families will not close the courtyard door all day long, which makes it easy for everyone to come in and out. There is nothing valuable at home, so leaving the door open is not a big deal for Mei Shui. But what troubles her is that Hians is still thinking about the gold. Forget it, she can take some out when he comes back next time. Because someone lived next to the house, the hole under the bed was never opened again. As for the money, she still had it on hand, but Hian said that the gold was not very pure, so it was best to exchange it there. She has no objection. But let her deposit the money in the bank, haha, that's impossible. Wouldn't it be nice to have more space? It was only after she came here that Mei Shui started to pay more attention to money. In the past, she paid more attention to food. Even now, she still has a lot of money, and very little of the food at home can go out. But he said that if you want to exchange gold bars for money, just do it. It doesn't matter to her anyway. On the day of the college entrance examination in An Liang, he saw his mother at the school gate. Even though he said he didn't need to accompany her, he was somewhat longing for her in his heart. Mom, why are you here? It's so early, I'm afraid my mother would have walked out before dawn. I'm here to accompany you after all, this is the most important exam in your life. Mom doesn't trust you alone. It's getting late. Come in quickly after the exam, Mom will take you to Boss Zhao's shop for dinner. Yesterday, third aunt told her to go find Boss Zhao today and ask him to make some chicken soup for An Liang to replenish his brain. Okay, just listen to Mom, An Liang said with a big smile on his face, we'll go have dinner later. After the mother and son exchanged a few words, An Liang walked into the school gate. There are many people taking the college entrance examination this year, but he doesn't care. He is very confident that he will be admitted to university and will definitely go to Kyoto University. That is his dream. The exam lasted 2 days. After An Liang finished the exam, he was exhausted and said, "Mom, let's go home." He made sure to sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Aunt Mei Lian watched her son lose weight day by day and felt very distressed. During the 2 days of the exam, Lixia came here twice, but she was in a hurry every time. You can't blame her, she had a lot of things on her hands. And Liang also understood and did not blame his sister. Go back, go home. Uncle Jinnan has been waiting for you for a long time. Let's go to the entrance of the town quickly. He Jinnan was invited out by He Jinkei at noon today and asked him to pick up An Liang's mother and son back to the village. Good. There was a quilt on the carriage, and An Liang fell asleep as soon as he got on the carriage. He Jinnan and Aunt Milian were very quiet along the way, for fear of disturbing An Liang's rest. The college entrance examination is not an easy task. It requires a lot of mental transition, so you need to rest more. It took more than an hour for the carriage to enter the village. After reaching the creek flatland, He Jinnan stopped the carriage and said, "Wake up An Liang quickly. It's not comfortable to sleep in the carriage." Of course Aunt Milian knew that sleeping in the carriage was not comfortable. An Liang is home. Get up quickly. If you want to sleep, go home and sleep. He pushed An Liang a few times and finally woke him up. Mom, are we back to the village? An Liang was a little confused as he looked at the people walking from a distance. I'm back, hurry up if you're still tired, go back to the house and sleep. It's uncomfortable to sleep in the car. Yes, he stood up and put away the quilt. Thank you, Uncle Jinnan. You're welcome, go home quickly. He Jinnan waved his hand and told him to go back quickly. Aunt Mei Lian smiled and patted An Liang on the back, hurry up and I'll get this. An Liang was not polite to his mother. Well, Mom, I'll go back first. He was really tired, not physically but mentally. I have been tense all the time. After I relaxed after the exam, I felt like I was exhausted. Jinnan, if you bring Orchid and the others to our house for dinner tomorrow, I will trouble you today. After a good relationship between several families, it would be too polite to give money for a carriage. Besides, He Jinnan's family has raised a lot of ducks because of Xiaoxiu, and the conditions at home are now among the best in the village. I don't like this small amount of money anymore. Okay, let's get together with our family when An Cheng comes back. He Jinnan responded with a smile, sister-in-law, please go back quickly and make some good things for An Liang. Why? Mei Shui and Grandma He were picking fruits on the mountain. An Wei and the others picked a lot of fruits on the trees, but there were still some fruits that were high up that they could not pick. Mei Shui looked at the tempting fruits and couldn't help but take her grandma and children up the mountain to play. Anyway, with Xiaobai here, there is no need to worry about animals without eyes running over and scaring Grandma, Xiaopeng, and the others. She dared to eat them if they dared to come. You know, the animals here are very delicious. When the old men learned that they were coming to pick fruits, they all ran over. Mr. Hua was still looking for the reason why the food here was so delicious as before. It's a pity that no matter how much he thinks, he can't go to the water, because the water is very turbid, and he doesn't dare to drink in those pits. Mom, this is delicious, this is delicious. As soon as Mei Shui picked some loquats from the tree, Xiaopeng peeled them off and put them in her mouth. Eat more if it tastes good, but be careful not to eat the seeds inside. Mei Shui smiled and handed the basket in her hand to him. Mom, I want to eat this. Xiao Cheng was a bit more skinny and had already been looking around for something he liked to eat. Mai Xiu looked at his hand and said, haha, okay. It turned out to be a loquat, which she didn't expect to grow everywhere on the back mountain. This stuff is great for making wine, but it's a pity that your mother doesn't make wine now. Mr. Shi stood next to Xiao Cheng and said with emotion. Mai Xiu glanced at him and said, forget it, since these old men gave her so much money, just brew some for them, without adding space water. Uncle Shi, do you want to drink? Mei Shui looked at him with a smile on her face. Wanting to drink is not a problem. You can pick the loquats here by yourself, and I will brew them for you as many as you pick. When the old man heard this, he was happy. Did you say that, Mr. She was really excited. Not lying to others. I'm not going to lie to you, as long as you pick it, I'll make as much wine as you pick, Mei Shui said with an upright face. Don't worry, I'm not lying. Think about it, Xiaoxiu has never deceived them, it is the older girls who always deceive their feelings. Haha, okay, okay, okay. After saying that, Uncle Shi turned around and shouted to a few people not far away, come here quickly, those who want to drink will not be able to pass quickly. After a while, the four old men ran over. Yes, they ran. Where is the wine? Where's the wine? Old man Shi, have you hidden some private wine? Everyone was staring at him, the wine was really tempting. What are you thinking? But if you want to drink, you have to do it yourself, Xiaoxiu said. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 279. Chapter 279, Old Men Working. So Mr. Shi said what Mei Shui said again. After listening, the four old men squatted down and started to move without thinking. Mei Shui rolled her eyes, what a bunch of drunkards. Grandma, he watched them go crazy the whole time, but there was really no wine at home. Xiaoxiu, do you want to make some more wine this year? Looking at her grandma's expectant eyes, Mei Shui smiled and said, okay, this year we will make some plum wine and wine at home. However, if grandma drinks it, she still has to be more careful. The house has been repaired recently, and Mr. Zhang is almost exhausted. He lies down and rests at home every day. And he Anyong had already been studying with Mr. Zhang at home. The more he studies, the more he feels his own shortcomings. He has the urge to go to school. However, Mr. Zhang did not agree, so he found a few books from somewhere and let him read them by himself. He Anyong is also a person who has attended junior high school. I still recognize the word. Since there was nothing going on with his sister-in-law, he could study at home with peace of mind, and go to the back mountain in the morning and evening, where the family's annual income was provided. Hianwei looks for some young grass in the fish pond every day. In short, the two brothers also have their own things to do. The old men wanted to make wine. The fruit was available, but the wine was not yet available. Mei Shui shouted directly down the mountain. Xiao Yi, come up the mountain quickly. Hianwei ran up the mountain as soon as he heard the sound, and reached the mountain in a short while. Sister-in-law, yes, what's the matter, he asked breathlessly. Mei Shui looked at him like this, patted his back, and took out a kettle from a backpack. Drink some water first. Hianwei was not polite and directly opened a bottle of water and drank it. Thank you, sister-in-law. The old men want to make wine. You can take the money to buy some wine later, and go to the old men to ask for the money yourself, Mei Shui said with a smile, pointing to the people picking loquats on the side. Ah, sister-in-law, didn't you stop making wine for them? Hianwei couldn't react. They were not in good health at that time, so they were not allowed to drink more. Now they are fine. It doesn't matter if they drink a little. After all, wine is not a good thing. Drinking too much is not good. But drinking less can still alleviate their vascular disease. Sister-in-law, can my family make some wine? There is also an uncle in his family. Mei Shui glanced at him and said, do you want to brew it for Mr. Zhang? With a thought in her mind, Mei Shui asked what she was thinking. Yes, the old man also likes this one, and Wei felt a little embarrassed and touched his head, but, sister-in-law, if you think it's not good, I won't brew it. It's okay, you can brew it if you want, but we plan to brew loquats, so you have to pick them yourself. Mei Shui pointed to a group of old men squatting on the ground. No problem, I have a lot of loquats behind my house. I'll let my brother pick them later. Recently, his brother has been reading like a fool. Well, we won't brew until tomorrow. There's no rush, but you have to bring it up tomorrow and learn together. Mei Shui had no intention of doing it herself. The old men didn't know that they were being plotted again. Hianwei went to the old men to get the money to buy wine and then went to the drunkard's uncle's house in the village. Counting the money in his hand, Hianwei felt that he might have to go to the next village to ask questions today. These old men are really hard-working. I don't feel bad for having so much money. He had at least 200 yuan in his hand. It was the first time he took so much money. Hianwei's heartbeat was pounding. The ripe fruits on the mountain have almost been picked due to the disaster of plum snow. After keeping some at home, she took it all out and divided it with several families. They are all wild fruits and not worth much. The ones Hianwei picked earlier have long been packaged in the cellar. Like plums and grapes that are not ripe yet, it is still early. In the afternoon, Hianwei thought he could go and have his fortune told. Uncle Drunkard's house didn't have enough wine. And Liang also woke up in the afternoon and went directly to the He family yard as soon as he woke up. Sister-in-law, I'm back. And Liang's voice was a little loud, shocking everyone and looking at him. Grandma, he ran out of the house. You're going to die, why are you so loud? Do you deserve a beating? The stick in her hand was already ready. And Liang saw the stick in the third grandma's hand and his whole body became hairy. Sister-in-law, help me, the third grandma wants to beat me to death. Mei Shui rolled her eyes at him. Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng just went to bed. I was so excited today. The two children played very late and finally managed to coax them to sleep. This voice. Mei Shui shook her head. I wish you good luck. So, she saw a scene she hadn't seen for a long time again, and Mei Shui felt nostalgic. Sister, do you want to help me? All the old men's hands started to itch. When they were at home, they taught their sons and grandsons the same way. Now they are far away and haven't been able to move around for a long time. No need, get away Grandma. He opened her mouth and retorted. Grandma, he didn't stop until An Liang was beaten with a stick several times. Humph, I will definitely slap your skin next time you yell when you come in Grandma, he threatened. No, I don't dare anymore, third grandma, I don't dare anymore. Weavua, it hurt so much. And Liang felt that he was really carrying his back. Why did he meet third grandma at home? Looking at An Liang being dealt with, everyone laughed unkindly. It's okay, I won't hit you next time I come after you, Mr. Hua said fondly. The old men all nodded in agreement. An Liang was not stupid. He saw that their eyes were shining and there was something they couldn't figure out, so he saw Shi Weiken with a look of sympathy on his face. Shi Weiken rolled his eyes at him and said, don't look at me like that. I haven't been beaten since I was a child. He felt a little guilty. And Liang's face was full of disbelief. You are lying, I saw Uncle Shi scolding you last time. And Liang looked at him like a fool. Shi Weiken couldn't bear it anymore. Oh, people who are beaten have no human rights. You are not qualified to look at me like this. After saying that, Shi Weiken turned around and entered the room. He thought it was better for him to run away first, otherwise he might get caught up in what happened when he was a child. No one paid much attention to their conversation, but they were more interested in Mei Shui brewing. Zioxiu, these things will rot when touched. How can I wash them? These are overripe loquats, which will rot when washed. Meixiu looked at it and said, if you don't mind, you don't need to wash it. You can't wash it. If it gets rotten, the juice inside will flow out, and the taste will definitely not be that good. I don't mind, it already hurts my waist, but now I have to wash it. They are old and they really can't bear it. Then don't wash it, just leave it and brew it when Xiao Yi comes back. Mei Shui shook her head and said. Of course, Aunt Yang cooked dinner again. After learning that her son would come for dinner, she was very happy, so she cooked 2 more dishes that her son liked to eat. Votes and comments are active. Please subscribe in full, thank you dears. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 280. Chapter 280, Plans for Big Cities. Everyone has no objection to Aunt Young's behavior. A mother doesn't love her own children. While having dinner, Wei came back with the wine. Let's eat first, and we'll do it after we finish. Looking at the impatient gentleman, Mei Shui interrupted what they were saying. Life is simple, and the little days are happy. Under Mei Shui's guidance, the wine altar was finally sealed, and An Liang's preparation of fish feed was also brought up. Now that the school is on vacation, Mei Shui thinks that Xiao will be back in the next 2 days. He also likes to go fishing, so Mei Shui has been suppressing An Liang from going fishing just to wait for Xiao. The old men also had thoughts, but they were suppressed by Mei Shui and couldn't resist. No, in order not to let them worry about it, Mei Shui immediately asked them to dig bamboo shoots in Zushan. That's right, dig more and dry it in the sun so that it can be sold to Qianxiang in winter, Mei Shui said after thinking about it in her mind. Mr. Zhao always felt that something was wrong when he heard this, but he couldn't understand it. But he is still very concerned about his grandson's affairs. After selling a tin to Xiang, he became very motivated. Sister-in-law, there are many bamboo mountains in the village. Do you want to inform everyone? Anyang asked. Anyang also came back to his senses from the book because of the matter of winemaking. Okay, you can go and tell the village chief. There are a lot of wild vegetables and other things on the mountain. Let everyone who has time go get them back and make them into dry goods. Then they will all be sold to Boss Jian. Mei Shui said without taking it seriously. These are just small amounts of money, she comforted herself. Even if she didn't tell the people in the village, there were so many things on the mountain that she couldn't finish by herself. Well, I'll go right away, Anyang responded. Looking at Mei Shui's majestic appearance, all the old men were very pleased and felt that they had seen the right person. And because of Shi Weikan's letter, 5 people also came to An's place. No, as soon as Xiao was on vacation, he started to make plans for gold. He wanted to expand his fleet. Now there are more and more people doing business, and his business is getting better and better. Especially those long-distance businesses, which are the most profitable businesses. Not only can I bring goods back, but I can also make a lot of money when I go there. The 5 people who came can come in handy. There is one more thing I have to say. After Boss Zhou went to Mingcheng, the freight business was pretty good, but the pressure in the provincial city was even greater. Anyone who does business will have a background behind him. And he and his friends are both self-made people, and they cannot confront others head-on. So the business has been hit hard. When he knew that the business in the county town was booming due to An's and others, he regretted it. But there's no point regretting it anymore, he can't come back either. His own capital is here and he can't move it even if he wants to. After all, it's not his business alone. An's goes to Mingcheng twice a month, and his transportation business has also made a name for himself in Mingcheng. Because not everyone can win the interstate hotel business. No, June's food was about to start. He and Xiang Yang changed shifts because of Xiao, and they happened to arrange the 5 people who came. Take them to your village together, just in time for them to meet the old men, so that they can feel relieved. There are so many bamboo shoots in the mountains that anyone can get dozens of kilograms of dry goods. Not only these, but also black fungus and other mountain products. If the rice in the fields hadn't been harvested yet, the eels would have been parallel imports. Old man Zhao, why are you digging so much? Mr. Sun was a little tired. After digging some, he was so tired that he couldn't straighten up. Sell it to my grandson, Mr. Zhao said with a righteous look. Everyone was speechless when they heard what he said. Is there anyone who can make money from his grandson like this? You are awesome. Everyone gave him a thumbs up. These are all small and interesting things. When there are more people, there will be more interesting things. Mei Shui also found a lot of earthworms when digging bamboo shoots. Looking at the earthworms packed in plastic bags, Mei Shui had no excuses. She could only guide An Liang step by step in making fishing bait, but how could she really know how to do it? You can catch fish only because there is space and water, and that is what fish love most. When An Liang wasn't paying attention, Mei Shui added a few drops to it, but she didn't dare to add too much, for fear that the fish would rebel. Xiao also came back as soon as possible during the vacation. He-Ans and 5 veterans came back with him. We're here, let's all get out of the car. He-Ans brought 5 people with him this time. They were not only here to meet the old men, but also to help pick vegetables. Dad, I'm going home first. As soon as he returned to the village, Xiao immediately let himself go. You know, there is not such a big place for him to play in the county town. You, go ahead and ask your mother to prepare lunch. There are many people today. He-Ans smiled and patted Xiao's twice. This brat was always thinking about playing when he came back. Just when He-Ans came back from the car, Mei Shui saw him. She couldn't help it, her eyes were too good. Grandma, He-Ans is back. Let's not cook at our house today. Let Aunt Yang cook together. There were so many people, and she was afraid that Grandma would be tired. Grandma, he walked out of the kitchen. Oh, that's a good feeling. I'll go over and tell your Aunt Yang, please keep an eye on Xiaopeng and the others. As the children get older, people become more and more naughty. No, with An Liang, he starts to be away from home all day long. Has been playing on the back hill. It's okay, Xiaobai is here. Xiaobai is now a great helper at home. You, okay, just watch a little bit and be careful they fall into the puddle. Grandma, he warned worriedly. No. After a while, Mei Shui heard Xiao's shout and saw that this boy was still halfway up the mountain. You run slower. Mei Shui was used to shouting at the bottom of the mountain, be careful not to fall. Okay. Xiao's high voice spread throughout the creek. As He-Ans brought people back, Hejia village became lively again. Whether it's selling vegetables or something else, every household is very lively. Like Aunt Zillion, her pigs can be sold, and this time there will be a lot of income. There is also a team of Bao Fang's family. Their bamboo rats are also ready to be sold, and each one is very fat. Of course, the bamboo rats in He Niang's house can also be sold, but there are so many things that Boss Jian can't eat by himself. He-Ans had already made arrangements. These things are very expensive in Shenzhen and Guangzhou, so he also started reselling them. Don't mention it, I really made a lot of money. When Xiao returned home, he took his 2 younger brothers and started playing around with An Liang, fishing, crab fishing, etc. What would summer be called summer if he didn't play with water? Mei Shui is not afraid that her 3 children will be flooded. Not to mention Xiao, Xiaopeng, and Xiaocheng have already learned how to hold their breath while swimming in the hot spring pool. Please give me a vote, thank you dears. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 281. Chapter 281, Take Away He Niang. The 5 people who arrived immediately started working after seeing the group of old men. This was the first time they had seen how good life in the countryside was. Each one is very novel. Of course, they know better what they can and cannot ask. He-Ans took his people back to the county town after collecting the things that day. He found that there were more and more things in the village. Qianxiang could no longer eat it by himself. Even if Guji shared the pressure, it was still not enough. He-Ans was also prepared. He couldn't let the things in the village not be sold, and he couldn't let his wife be criticized by others. Of course, the most important thing is that the benefits inside make him even more excited. After sending people back with the goods, he drove into the village again the next day. This time he wanted to take the goods to the Shenzhen market. Because there were enough people, he was not afraid that there would be no one to drive the car. Xiaoxiu, I plan to divide some of these chickens, ducks, pigs, and bamboo rats myself and sell them. Hians told his grandma and Xiaoxiu what he thought. Meixiu looked at him and asked, "Aren't you tired? The family didn't lack the money." "Grandma, he thinks this idea is good. I think it's feasible. Anyway, they often sell their cars, so it would be best if they can sell them. She can make money. It's not tiring, that is, it's easy. Now there are more and more people in the team. We plan to buy a few more cars. There are exactly 10 cars in total. There are 8 of us now, so we have to earn more to get back." "Grandma," he nodded, "yes, you have to pay them wages to accept those people. I'm afraid they don't have much money for transporting goods." In Grandma's heart, the freight is really not much. Hian smiled and shook his head, but he did not refute what Grandma said, "So, we plan to resell some things along the way, just like before. Isn't that what Li Fei and others did before?" Mei Shui understood. There are still not enough manpower with so many things to do. How could 8 people be enough? "Let's do this. You take An Yang with you and resell the piece to him. I think he has the ability to do a good job." An Yang's courage is not small now. "I just don't know if Mr. Zhang will let him go." "It's good that An Yang is here, but is his family at ease?" Hians asked worriedly. "It's okay. I'll call Uncle Zhenbei over later and ask if you can still make a lot of money in the village. Their family needs a lot of money." "Grandma," he rolled her eyes at Xiaoxiu, "you are the only one with a kind heart," she cursed, but in action, Grandma, he still supported it. "You guys have to explain the pros and cons to others clearly, so that they don't get jealous when you make money. It's not like this kind of thing has never happened before." "I understand this. And Yang is pretty good," Hians responded. Meixiu didn't say much. Anyway, An Yang learned martial arts from her. Even those who came yesterday may not be An Yang's opponents. After the discussion, Hians took action. Instead of calling anyone to his home, he went to Uncle Zhenbei's home. Zhenbei fell silent after listening to An's words, and Mr. Zhang on the side. Go, he shouldn't be locked up in this village." He really wanted this apprentice to learn from him, but he had to eat. How can you survive without a living? His family's conditions are only like this. He is old and can't help even if he wants to. "Uncle Zhang, do you agree to let Xiao Yang go out?" Zhenbei never expected that the first person to agree would be Uncle Zhang. Earlier when they asked Xiao Yang to do some work, Uncle Zhang stopped him, saying that he wanted Xiao Yang to concentrate on reading. Looking at the surprised Zhenbei, Mr. Zhang sighed again. "You have to eat to live. He is right to learn from me, but who do you think can afford to build a house in the village?" Zhenbei was speechless, then listened to Uncle Zhang. What else could he say? He was silent before because he didn't want Uncle Zhang to be disappointed in Xiao Yang. You know how difficult it is to learn a craft. After getting a positive answer, Hians planned to go to Xiao Yang and ask him what he thought. It would be in vain if he didn't agree. "The first time I came to see his parents was because I didn't want him to have any worries." Soon Hians found Yang in the back mountain courtyard. Now he comes to take a look every day to see how the master designed the courtyard at that time. "Brother Ans, why are you here?" Hearing someone calling him, Hians looked back. "I came to see you for something. Let's go out and talk. It's very hot here. I really don't like this place in summer. No wonder the old man and the others have to move out of here early, it's really too hot." "Oh, okay, Brother Ans, wait for me to clean it up." Yang came over with books, some notebooks, and pens. The two of them stopped when they reached the creek outside. "Brother Ans, what do you want from me?" Generally, Brother Ans will stay at home with his sister-in-law when he comes back. "I have something to tell you." Ans found a big rock and sat down. I have some business over there in Shenzhen, and I want you to come over and look after it for me. I wonder if you are willing, Hian said directly. Ah, me, He Anyong said in disbelief. Brother Ans, why did you want to find me? I have never done business before. He knows that the business Ans is talking about must be big business, and your sister-in-law said you can do it. Ans knew that they believed in his wife more. Sister-in-law said I can do it. He Anyong couldn't believe it after receiving her sister-in-law's approval. Sister-in-law really said that? Well, that's what your sister-in-law said. Originally, I was thinking of finding Anwen or someone else, but your sister-in-law asked you to give it a try. There was no need for him to lie to him on this matter. Then can I ask what the business is? He really hasn't had much contact with business. Even if it is done, it will only be arranged by my sister-in-law. Well, let me tell you, Hians told him about Shenzhen and Guangsheng. After hearing this, He Anyong was stunned. So big, can he do this? It's not big, it's just the beginning, but some pain is real. Hians had no intention of deceiving him. I'm not afraid of hardship, but I'm afraid that I won't do well. And Yang felt a little unconfident. No, I'm sure you'll do a good job. But. No but, I told your parents and Mr. Zhang, they all agreed that you should go. Now it's up to you, whether you want to try it out or not. Of course Hians knew what he was thinking. Don't worry, it won't delay your studies. After you settle down there, you can find a school to learn how to repair a house. Learning systems is no worse than studying with a master at home. Can I go home and think about this? After all, he was going so far away, but he still didn't want to leave home. If he didn't miss home so much before, but now, he is used to the life in the village, and he feels guilty when he suddenly goes to a big city. Kisses. End of this chapter.